This is Brad Marchand, and you're listening to Breaking the Ice with Josh Dolan. I don't think he would ever let a pizza get out the door before he buried the whole thing, so he likes to eat that kid.
What is this? What is this? I look like a fucking bitch from Newport, or I'm still in
You
winter?
look like you're robbing the Home Depot is what it looks like.
Because I have a fucking orange mask?
Yeah.
Hold on. 8 weeks ago, if I told you I was going to walk into a fucking bank or a credit union like this, you'd be like, dude, you're going to fucking jail.
You're a criminal and a Flyers fan. So.
Right? You sent that thing. I'm not a fucking Flyers fan, but I look like one with this on. You haven't donned any pretty masks, Mike. You haven't, or Josh, or now you, Chris.
That's because I'm in my home.
Well, I have the window open.
Yeah, you're doing it backwards, Isaiah. You're putting the mask on inside, and then you go outside.
Okay. Let us know when you're ready, Chris. Let us know when you're ready.
Yep. He's getting focused. This is movie theater popcorn, too.
All right.
Yeah, oh, there we go. I like the light. There we go.
Yeah. Is that a McDonald's coffee? Look at them.
Yeah.
No, dude. It's nothing better than bacon, egg, and cheese biscuits.
Yeah, man. We can agree on that. That's for sure.
I'm not going to lie. My wife and I went out last week, and you fucking, like, the littlest things are like the biggest adventures now. We went out, and I'm like, we need to go through a drive-through. Fucking now. And, of course, we end up at Wendy's. It was a good idea for the first 10 minutes, and then I fucking shit myself later. But those 10 minutes were like heaven. Oh.
Yeah. It's worth it.
I ate all of it. I had a fucking Baconator. I had like 20 nuggets. It was so good, and then I fucking shit for days.
Sure. I'm sure everywhere.
Why do you start every podcast like that? Every podcast is Isaiah saying, I shit a lot.
I know. It's some kind of gastrointestinal update.
Well,
take care of yourself.
I don't get to see you guys much. I want to let you know how my fucking ass is flowing.
Oh, my God. This is why we were fired from radio.
So our background on us three douchebags, we all used to work.
How's the Christian station doing?
Right? We all used to work here, and they fucking took it away.
Yeah, I'm guessing they're doing pretty well.
You know what's so funny about AAF and Trapt? So when we were, they were playing the hell out of our stuff, and Mrs. Carey was, I think, the MD. I'm not sure what she was, but our guitar player Simon said something pissed her off, and she just never cared for us after that. And that was probably 2003. Said something about her appearance or something, like Elvira or some shit like that, And
she's the one that spins the records.
She did not dig that, and that was the end of that relationship.
Yeah, she hates the Elvira thing, and she really hates the Buffy the Vampire Slayer thing, because the guys down the hall at the sports station.
Buffy more of a
Buffy
peppy?
was hot.
She got more pep in her step than Elvira, right? Elvira's more dark.
Yeah, she just didn't dig that. Sorry about that.
When we were all kids,
more dark and twisted.
We all thought about Elvira when we were kids. Don't fucking lie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, still do, man. She still looks great.
She's got that dark. Oof. I own it vibe. Like, I don't care what anyone thinks about me. And these big ass tits.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let's. I was waiting for Phil that all the remains to come on.
I think Phil just joined.
I'm here, guys. How you doing?
Oh, okay.
Oh, what's up, Phil?
Hi, guys.
Twice in one fucking week?
I know, right?
All right, now I can see you all. Like all four of you. Or four of you.
Yeah, not me. My webcam's not working properly. I've been having an issue with it, and I haven't got it squared away. But
I used to. What do we call it?
You don't just use your phone?
Well, I have never used Zoom with my phone. Actually, I don't know.
It's so fucking easy.
The thing with the Zoom thing with the phone, it works great. Like
I use it all the time, except for now for some reason.
Let me try the link here that you sent. Then.
Yeah, it's easy. Except you can't see more than 4 people.
That's all right. None of you are pretty anyway.
I can see Josh, Isaiah, and Mike. I just can't see them.
It's telling me that Safari cannot open because the link is invalid, so I might need
Safari. Safari fucking sucks.
Well,
Thanks.
Well, at
Steve
least we can hear you. I mean, that's
Yeah, it's up to you guys. I don't care.
no. This is good. At least we can hear you.
All right. So.
All right. Well, let's jump right in, shall we?
Do it.
You're right.
Chris, you have. I think the numbers, the last numbers I saw were your discussions on Twitter generated something like 1,000 tweets in 4 days, or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's plenty of people tweeting as much or not or more than I do. Like, you know who Talib Kweli is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's a rapper.
Yeah, I follow
that
him
guy,
on Instagram. Yeah.
all day long, just tweeting. He doesn't really reply to people. He'll get someone's tweet and then put like copy and paste that. He doesn't know about retweeting with comment, I guess. And then he'll just do that and like just calling everybody racist and everybody's a Nazi and I'm like, I thought I was crazy, but this guy he takes the cake for sure.
Well, your thing with him,
so I was like, who are you? So I thought that was bizarre. Like I said, I've never tweeted at anyone just out of the blue, like, oh, let me figure out who I'm going to start shit with and then just tweet at him. That's not happened one time.
Well, wait a minute, Chris. Let me ask you about that. Didn't this kind of start and snowball from you going after Chris Evans about his critique on a Trump press conference?
No, not at all. Chris Evans probably gets hundreds of thousands of messages at him. All I said was STFU. Trump did a lot of good stuff. That was my tweet. So he didn't care. He didn't go back and forth with me, and I didn't expect him to. It's like tweeting at Patton Oswalt or something. It's just like, I don't like what you said. Shut the fuck up. And that tweet, and that's like, that didn't do anything. So it was me saying white privilege doesn't exist that got everybody riled up and pissed off. So like I was going back and forth with this guy Talbert Swan, who's another race baiter like Talib Kweli, like making money off this. Like this is their daily gig. Trying to start race issues with people on Twitter. And I was just like, look, as a half Mexican dude and saw my mom's side do great for themselves and get their piece of the American dream and all that, a minority, part of my family, half of my family, I'm not going to buy into this white privilege crap. I've seen too many poor white people who have no privilege at all. And so it's just this stupid college, humanities section of a college engineered narrative that white people need to feel guilty about existing. And it's just ridiculous. And I hate the whole concept. And it's been 55 years since Civil Rights Act where they actually changed laws. They actually did the work and they protested and they got things out of it. These days, people just bitch and nothing gets done or changed because they do these freaking circular arguments that go nowhere. No, it's like either people buy into this white privilege thing and they go, oh, we're so privileged and they completely forsaking anything their parents actually did to give them any kind of leg up. And then there are people who are like, I don't, that's the dumbest concept and I'm not going to entertain it. So I'm on that. This is the dumbest concept and I'm not going to entertain it. And I can talk to anyone about African Americans and what they've gone through and the hundreds of years of, not having generation after generation to build wealth upon because of their education they had. But as far as like this conversation's never, whoever is on the other side of, yes, white people have all this privilege, they're never going to be done with the conversation. They're never going to be satisfied with any progress made in America or any of that stuff. So I just want people to be comfortable saying, I don't even want to talk about that. It's a stupid conversation and we should just be Americans and look at each other on merit, and all that stuff versus skin color. Like I'm the best race or my race is oppressed by everybody, because of my race. It's just, I think it's a stupid concept, but that's what started it. People didn't like me with the hashtag white privilege doesn't exist and no one is oppressed in 2020 and all this stuff. Then people started coming after my band and saying, your band sucks, one hit wonder, blah, 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 blah. No one cares about you. No one listens to you. I was like, well, that's not true. And here, I just want to correct the record. And I'm not going to just let people bash on the band and throw out numbers and all this stuff without saying that's just not true. So that's how the whole thing started. Like nobody would come after me if I didn't, do stuff that I think are, maybe is controversial or whatever, but I believe in that stuff. And they also made the conscious decision to support Trump after 4 years of watching people bash on him left to right on the left side with impunity, like Corey Taylor or whoever would say whatever they want, bash on the Trump deplorables and all this stuff. And I just got sick of it. This shutdown happened, and then people still shit on him, and then so I was like, I'm just gonna go for it and let everyone, all my fans, know how I feel about Trump and how I feel about the people who bash on Trump all the time, and that I want to be there supporting people who like Trump, so they can feel like they can say what they want about this guy and about whatever without feeling like they're gonna get canceled, So that's basically it in a nutshell.
Well, I have an issue with something you tweeted a while ago, and that is the way that in my opinion, the administration tried to label the COVID-19 as the Chinese virus. Now, technically, it did start in China, and I'm a subscriber of that theory that it came from that lab in Wuhan that was working on viruses. But for some reason, even though the virus already had a name, COVID-19, it seemed like there was a PR campaign by the administration to change the name to Chinese virus, even though it already had a name by doctors and scientists. That's a shortened name. I forget the actual long name for the virus, but I kind of have a problem with that. Why were they trying to change the name to Chinese virus, and why did they give up on it after 2 weeks? Because it didn't catch on.
The Chinese Communist Party literally went out with their propaganda to convince Chinese people that the CIA and our army went over there in November and spread it around. So Trump's like, screw you, China virus. Bam. That's it. China lying about it to their people. Trump's like, screw you. I'm going to let the whole world know this came from Wuhan, China. Like CNN and all them, they were calling this thing the Wuhan virus, the Wuhan China virus, for so long, and then all of a sudden Trump says it, and now it's sacrilegious. It's just the double standard and the bias is annoying.
Yeah, that's what confused me about that too. Was that when it first started, that like CNN was calling it the Wuhan virus, and then they would start listing, like they were saying, can you believe Trump said the Chinese virus? But then they would list all the other viruses, and then they'd say the Spanish flu. And I'm like, why is that one?
Or what about the African swine flu that killed a bunch of Chinese pigs? They called it the African swine flu, and that's all they called it, to blame Africa. China does this all the time. We take one small page out of their playbook, and then the U.S. is the bad guy. It's like, our press is on the side of China for some reason and against Trump, obviously, and it's just annoying that you have the president of the United States who have so many people against him doing his damn job.
Well, I just said it a second ago.
I'd be way less of patience than Trump. Man.
This whole fucking thing, this conversation we're having, the question Mike asked, the stuff you put on Twitter, the things people put out there, it's such a fucking pissing match, and everybody's kind of right on their own levels of, you feel one way, I feel a certain way. God forbid we put it out there without someone fucking destroying us. The first time I looked at your Twitter feed, I'm looking at it going, okay. Then I start to go back. I went back and I went back. I went back and I went, he's fucking pissed about something. Something happened somewhere. Thanks for explaining what it was, because at first I looked at it and went, this guy's fucking snapped. Something's trapped, snapped. Kind of rhyme, right?
Only responding, and if someone comes after me in a certain manner, it's just second nature to just respond to him in that same manner.
Well, did you notice how all my tweets were just of a guy eating popcorn? Because I was fucking watching.
Hey, and I have no problem entertaining anyway. It's all good.
I have popcorn. I'm fucking watching.
Hey, Chris, why would we want to take a page out of the Chinese playbook? I mean, isn't that us going down to their level? I mean, you're absolutely right. The Chinese Communist government,
with fire, man. I mean,
that's not fighting fire with fire. I disagree with that. We shouldn't lower ourselves to their level to do. I'm sorry, Phil. Did you have something to say?
Oh.
I kind of want to stick my nose in about at least at that question. I don't think that there is an active intent on the side of the, or I don't think there is an active intent in the legacy media here in the United States to take the side of China. There is a natural inclination to take the opposing side to Trump. That's it. It's not about China. It's not about they want to agree with China. It's that they feel they need to disagree with Trump, and it's likely a monetary incentive because Trump creates clicks.
Well, Trump
Like you
said
put Trump's
160
name
billion.
on something, and it drives clicks. If you get Trump, if you the orange man bad narrative that you hear about, like that makes money. That makes a lot of money. So I don't think that they really have very much intent to side with China so much as this is the opposing view from Donald Trump.
Yeah, I completely agree. But China, this did start in China, and you look at all the last, 6 years or so, they've been working on bat coronaviruses for 6-7 years. Even the U.S. government helped pay for some of this research, and then all of a sudden it leaks out of the freaking lab where they were doing studies for 6 years on it.
That's fine.
This coronavirus was in bats, and they took it over to that.
That's fine and that's fair, but that is a different isolated conversation than from Donald Trump and the media in the U.S.
Why
That's
say
totally
China
different.
virus? And that's to blame this on China, pin the entire thing on them, and make them pay reparations for what they did.
I don't have an issue with that at all. It did start in China. The Chinese Communist Party is not an open and honest government. They're not a free country.
Man.
They are adversarial to the United States. I have no issue with taking that stance against the government of China. The communist government of China is it is categorically bad. They're throwing Muslims in concentration camps. Everybody knows that you can't talk about Tibet. You can't talk about Taiwan. You can't talk about all kinds of places that China is involved politically, and they have a perspective. So I don't have any kind of problem with with laying the blame at the feet of the Chinese Communist Party when it comes to the spread and lack of forthcoming information and trying to shift blame. I get that's all, to me, that seems self-evident. So
yeah.
It's when you get into the conversation about media. That's the part that happens is you get into this country, and this country does a good job of fucking things up media-wise. The left hates the right, and the right hates the left. It's fucking exhausting. It's like
nobody can believe this. The CIA. No one can believe our national security guys and stuff because they botched they did the fake FISA warrants and so many things that was just so uncalled for and lying and all this stuff. And the American public doesn't know who to believe at this point. So even if the CIA and everyone did, it was China, and it came out of this lab, and it looks like they totally benefited from it. I mean, they were getting just their asses kicked by our, tariffs and all that stuff, and it's like such a coincidence, or it's just like that it works out in their favor. It's like it gives them more leverage on this whole trade war and stuff. So I just want Americans to be like, China is not our friend, and it's a zero-sum game. They're just trying to get a better deal out of us. And we actually have multinational corporations that made these trade deals so we can set up shop in China for nothing and not pay any tariffs, and our middle-class jobs just vanish. We're, at least 7 out of the 20 million we used to have. And so I just want Americans to get used to taking those supply chains and either getting it in different countries or doing it right here in America, made in America, and have a reason to do that. These people are not our friends, they're enemies. So why are we doing business with these people? And so the more that we can accelerate what we were already doing in the process of doing, this just accelerates it so much faster to put supply chains inside the U.S., especially stuff that if we're at war for something crazy that China can just stop sending us certain medicines that they manufacture, plenty of things like that. But we should be doing that in the U.S. So this just accelerates that whole movement away from China. So China virus, all that.
Well, my whole point was this whole "I know you are, but what am I" thing.
It is.
This "I know you are, but what am I" thing is ridiculous. And you know what, Chris? President could have said the last 30 seconds of what you were saying right there. The president could have said that instead of doing this campaign to call it a Chinese virus. He could have explained it like that. You were very clear in your explanation there. You gave the facts that you have.
Yep.
Why couldn't he do that? And it's on a
because he's a schmuck, Mike.
Orange man.
Yeah.
No. Because genuinely, because he's a car salesman, he's a huckster, he's a schmuck. He's out there trying to sell a product. He's a WWF character. That's why he couldn't actually say it in a reasonable way that won't set people off. He's a troll. He lives to be on Twitter getting people riled up.
He's not a politician, but we knew that when we elected him.
Yeah.
So why is everyone surprised?
I don't think anybody on the right or the left, because I mean, Phil, I've had plenty of conversations with people that are right or left, as have you, Chris and Mike and Josh. At the end of the day, he could have done just that, Mike. If you would just deliver the facts like fucking Chris just did, say it, back it up, and shut the fuck up. But instead,
God, Mike died.
I'm okay.
Right in the middle. We're trying to have
how that happened.
For the first
sorry,
time,
guys.
Chris and
The
Phil,
one
try to have a
time.
serious conversation, and Mike falls down.
I'm sorry. Sorry about that, guys.
I'm going into my mask. This thing just went to shit.
All right.
No, but
Sorry about that, you
seriously,
guys.
it's. Tell me, it's not the fucking delivery. If that's why Phil just yelled out schmuck. Okay, is the guy doing everything wrong? No. Is he doing everything
He's not
right?
Obama, that's for sure. He's
Well,
not
just
polished like
they're
that.
all fucking good and bad. It's just when in a time like this, I would love to hear if someone said like what you just said. Give me the fucking facts on how you feel, and we move forward. The second somebody in politics, right or left, starts to freeball, my stomach gets it turns.
But
'Cause
I
you
don't
know
even
what's going
think
on
he
the
can
fucking
give the
rails.
facts because people are just going to jump all over him no matter what,
I
just
know,
because of his political party.
Well, that's every president, Josh.
That's
It is,
everybody.
That's every
it is,
president.
but it's
That's the
the
history
media,
of
like
American politics.
Right.
You know, you attack the person that's in charge if he's not in your party to help your party get in power. That's been with every
but
president.
it is
It's been
a little
with
bit
Obama,
harder when
it
you
was
don't
with
have the
Bush
media
Jr.
on your side, though.
Well, the media is always going to be on the left side, unless you're Fox. And then if you have a
So-
fucking look, let's put a Democrat in next time. What do you think Fox is going to do? They're going to fucking explode. It's this goddamn party line thing that drives me insane. Look, I'm an independent.
Me too.
I'll vote Republican. I'll vote Democrat. I'll vote for Phil. I'll vote for Chris. I'll vote for Josh.
you-
I'm like, just tell me what the fuck you want. Tell me your opinions.
Independents decide the elections, and so you got the
They
right
do.
and you got the left, and they're arguing all the time. And the independents going, "Who should I pick? Which side makes the better argument?" And the left, the reason why they own all the press and some of the biggest, largest multinational corporations, and they want us to be more left wing because you just make your deals with one guy who's at the top. You don't have to deal with 50 different governors and all, have this Republican crap. They don't want to do that. So it's obviously why big media is on the side of going more towards a socialist, centrally planned economy. It's obvious.
That's a headache too. That's a headache too, because if I sit at home while we're all in lockdown, I just want some fucking information. I really do. I don't want the person on the TV to be a fucking asshole. I just want you to say, again, like you just delivered. You just gave me your opinion. There it is, with facts.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Instead of this free-balling fucking lunatic or the people in Congress or the people in the House, I'm not just picking on one person, you fucking no-term cocksuckers sit there and tell us the same fucking shit year after year after year. And it's all based on you. They're still making their money, right? They're living in their fucking 90.
You got to admit, though, Trump's good at crowd work.
Trump's a good politician. At the end of the day, like he was made for this job.
Well, he's a
And like
marketing.
Joe Rogan said it best, man.
Marketing.
He's like, look at Bush and look at Obama and how fast they aged in just those first 4 years. And then you look at Trump, it's like, oh, it looks like he's getting younger. He has more energy. It's like he wakes up every morning going,
That's because he
This is what
tans and dyes his
this
hair.
kind of
for
power is
crying
what I
out
want,
loud.
man.
I could dye my hair every day and look like I'm 30 years old, for fuck's sake. The guy's a fucking television star. Don't you think we need a little polish right now?
Yes.
At a point like
Look at
this for
Reagan,
communications
man. Reagan was an
purposes.
asshole.
I was just
Look
gonna
at
say
Ronald
that.
Reagan. Look at Ronald Reagan. People call Ronald Reagan one of the greatest presidents of all time. And I can see that because Ronald Reagan was one of the greatest communicators of all time. And we've got a guy up here who can't even form sentences.
Trump just has the biggest balls of all time, man.
Your latest tweet,
There's that.
Chris, was defending the president's thing on this injecting disinfectants into your system. And I don't know who the source is on this, but you're saying that he had been speaking with his medical consultants before he went to the press conference. And they were saying there's an actual treatment. There's an actual treatment for disinfectant of it's called O3 gas infused into the body, can be a disinfectant for disease. And then the whole ultraviolet light thing. Then why didn't he present it like that when he got on stage?
Because he's not perfect. That's why.
Well, he just.
That's not more than well. Then the next day, though, he wrote it off as sarcasm and said, "We like to keep you guys on your toes."
He's not
So he
listening
was
to his
saying
press
that was
secretary.
all just bullshit sarcasm, not fact.
he could have been looking at. I'm
press
just saying, he
secretary
could have
said
looked
the
at that
same thing.
study, and they're talking about injection, and they're talking about disinfectant and all that stuff, and then he could be looking at it and go, "Oh, you think we could just inject this and just right in the lungs and do it that way?" He could have been sarcastic. Yeah, I mean, the guy's sitting there all day.
This is not a time for sarcasm, though, Chris, is it?
No.
This
Look,
is a time
Trump
for
is a
straight
guy who
communication. We need a little
He's just
polish
not an
right
Obama
now.
type guy. The only thing Trump needs to do to make me want to vote for him for 4 more years is renegotiate the China trade deal. He's already gotten one phase. He did new NAFTA. It's USMCA now, and it's way better for the United States and Canada, but just better for people who pay their workers more, unlike Mexico. So I just want him another 4 years to renegotiate all the old free trade deals that screwed us, that were written by multinational corporations. The same people who own those corporations own the media, mainstream media. It's like, why would you listen to people who literally are only doing this for money? And a lot of their press, they don't even, like the Washington Post, they don't care. Bezos doesn't care if that thing makes money. He doesn't give a shit. He uses that to further his agenda. That's what they use this media for. Further their agenda and their narrative. So
Trump does the same thing with Fox News, though. He uses that media source to further his agenda.
Because it's the only one that.
It's the only one he has.
But the left has so much more firepower than the right. That's for damn
They have
sure.
7 channels.
It's
it's not even. That's why Fox News is the biggest one, because it's the only one.
But I think everybody can agree. Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, all of them. I feel like they've all kind of lost the credibility because they're all kind of with one political party. That right now, like Barstool Sports has more credibility than all of them put together.
Right.
Yeah,
Joe Rogan has more credibility than all of them put together.
You're completely right about Joe Rogan.
So the calculation I made, months going into I'm going to go pro-Trump and really throw my hat in the ring on that, because I hadn't really said exactly who I support or anything up until middle of March. I watched that Roger Ailes Fox News, and how he did that whole thing. Like there was a Showtime or HBO or something like that. And the guy just went, look, no one is catering to these types of people because they're deplorables and they're horrible people and they blah, 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 that the left thinks of the right, and no one was catering to them. Nobody was saying what they wanted to hear. And that's all news does these days. So he went and made Fox News as a total business thing. He was going to make a shitload of money on that because he was going to cater to people who weren't being catered to at all. And his calculation was perfect. And then it became the biggest cable news thing that's out there. So that's all I'm like, nobody supports Trump or supporters. They just bash on him. That's all they do. Like, so many bands just bash on Trump and their supporters. That I was like, I'm going to just take a page out of Roger Ailes' book with this new album and see what it does. And if there's a big drop in listeners and there's a big drop in engagement and all that stuff, I'll stop. But the reason why I go out there and say what I want to say is I'm speaking to a certain demographic who isn't being spoken to. So that's the idea. It's like, will that work as a marketing strategy? We shall see.
Now, Chris,
how would you respond, Chris? How would you respond, Chris, to people who say this is nothing but a marketing ploy for the new album, which comes out
it's
May 14th? Is that when it comes out?
I believe this stuff I'm saying. I totally do. I'm not being fake about it. And if I can go out there and support Trump and Trump supporters, and at the same time actually make more visibility for the new album and sell more copies and more streams and all this stuff, then that's exactly what I'm going to do. So it's not just a marketing thing, but it's also no one stands up for these people. No one stands up, and it's like Headstrong people probably overwhelmingly like Trump that listen to Headstrong. It's like the left-wing hipster bands hate Headstrong already. So it was like, for me, I was thinking about it for months.
It's still on their workout
do I do
playlist.
it? When do I do it? And I felt like the perfect time was when the whole thing shut down. People shitting on Trump left and right. I was like, you know what? That sucks. And I'm going to do the opposite.
Now, do you think that's a reason why you're not getting, like, in all the articles when I just typed in Trapt when I first heard about this whole thing on Twitter, and then I was reading all the things, and it was saying, like, having a nervous breakdown in Trump tweets and stuff. Do you think it's like you're not getting a fair shake just because you're being pro-Trump?
Every single article, AP, Revolver, everybody, I have no problem with how they made me look. Like, the guy Danny Diablo or whatever talking about like, screwing my mom like 3 or 4 tweets in a row. And I'm like, dude, you have Down syndrome? What's wrong with you? Like, it's like he looked much worse than I did, and all that stuff. So when I read this stuff, I'm like, if you're an average person, you can figure out why I'm getting all this heat, and it's like, I'm just defending my band if someone talks shit or lies about it. And then also I'm going to support Trump and Trump supporters. And just the same way that Cardi B would support Bernie, or, the countless metal bands who went all out for Bernie and stuff. So I'm not doing anything different than the other side. It's just one side gets nailed a lot harder than the other side. And that's what I really want to point out, is the hypocrisy. And I think I've done a good job of that.
Is the Danny Diablo thing going to happen?
The celebrity boxing.
I will box whoever wants to box me.
How about Ice-T?
Sounds good.
Don't you ask for bare knuckles?
Revolver guy, Christian or whatever, is I'll contact you. So it sounds good. No contact, nothing. So whatever. The guy's the same size as I am, if not smaller. I have no problem boxing anyone. But the Riley from Power Trip guy, I'm like, look, if I'm going to do this Danny thing, I want you bare knuckle, because I'm sick of you talking shit constantly. And that Revolver, thing, you just let the guy run his mouth, just lies about me. I'm like, dude, if you just say this shit, you prove it with screenshots and say, So as soon as I saw the Revolver thing, I just went off. And you have enough Ice-T fans say, Ice-T will kick your ass. You just go, no, he won't. He's 63 and he's much older than I am.
He's that old?
He's gonna jump into any ring with me. I guarantee you. It's so annoying. So yeah, there you go.
Well, in Ice-T's defense, pimping ain't easy, but somebody's got to do it. All right, man? I still think he could kick your ass, Chris. I'm sorry.
First at all, man.
I still think Ice-T would win that fight.
He's elderly, Shu.
I wouldn't fuck with Ice-T.
I still wouldn't fuck with Ice-T.
In his prime, maybe.
I wouldn't fuck with Big Daddy Kane, and he's like 70, man. I mean, come on.
Anybody with the name Big Daddy, I'm standing.
I didn't even say anything bad to him. I didn't say that Trapt's better than you or anything. I just said, look, someone was talking to me about Ice-T and body count, and I was like, no one really sells physical albums anymore, because the guy sold like millions of records in the 80s and 90s, I think. And so, like, I'm just like, look, no one really sells the physical stuff anymore, and we do much better on the streaming platforms than they do. That's all I said. And then the guy tags Ice-T in that back and forth, and then Ice-T's like, I'll see you around, punk. And then
so I have a question. Oh, I'm sorry. I have a question about the streaming thing, Chris. So you love Pandora, you promote Pandora, and you say it's a better read on your success than Spotify is. But Pandora, correct me if I'm wrong, that's still like a random playlist thing. You don't really get to choose the songs you want to hear, as opposed to Spotify, we can actually pick the song you want to hear. And yeah. I'm just saying, you're saying we got tons of streams on Spotify, on Pandora, but not Spotify. And maybe it's because, people get to pick the songs they want on Spotify. I'm just throwing that in there.
They indirectly pick their songs on. So Pandora, it's like more of a pop station, top 40 kind of thing. And so you get rated, just like pop stations go out and get ratings. And so some rock stations do too, get ratings. What do you like this song out of 1 out of 5, and are you burned out on it or not? So you get that thumbs up and thumbs down thing. So if a song keeps getting thumbs up and barely gets skipped, then that song is going to get played more, because more people like it than don't like it. So you got a niche thing with a lot of metal or metalcore. The more niche the metal is, the smaller the people who are into it, but they're very into it and they know exactly what they want to hear. And so they go and they figure it out. But on Pandora, it's more of like, you got to have commercial songs. Like, it's got to be more commercial to get more play. Because if it's just niche and 1 out of 10 actually likes it, 9 out of 10 is like, yeah, I don't like this, but that 1 out of 10 super hardcore loves it, then you're going to have good stuff on Spotify, but not so much very good on Pandora. So
but don't you think
a commercial platform that caters to a larger denominator is Pandora.
But don't you think like the real choice, like an actual choice from a consumer, outweighs any kind of rating on Pandora, whether the song may come up or not?
No, not at all, because you got this small genre, small niche people who really like something, but that's 1 or 2 out of 10, and then you got people like 8 or 9 out of 10 who would rather hear the more commercial thing, but they're not so stuck on this genre or that genre makes me cooler or not, makes me cooler than you because I listen to this music. I think that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So anytime someone brings that up, I'm going to go, look, that definitely doesn't make you someone who's cooler than someone else because you listen to Rick and some kind of crazy technical metal versus Dave Matthews or something, It's like, that's such an arrogant, like, elitist crap that, Trap's never going to say that we're this band who's hipster and elitist and, we're so good. It's like, just trying to make good songs that you can strip down an acoustic guitar and a vocal and it still sounds good. That's always been my goal versus how technical and progressive can we make the songs. But, to each his own, to each their own. And Pandora is just something where if you want to discover new music in the vein of what you're into, you're going to discover more new music with Pandora than you will with Spotify and what your friends are into and blah, blah, blah. So I'm just saying that Pandora is more commercial and Spotify is more niche, and you can listen to exactly what you want to listen to, but it's definitely more the bigger bands on Pandora have a more commercial sound than some of the bigger stuff on Spotify. That's just my opinion.
Underlying theme for Pandora, Spotify, political, to each his own. You just hit it right on the head, to each his own. That's one amazing thing about fucking America. You got an opinion, I got an opinion, so do fucking you, and we can go on for days about it. And at least that's why we have these discussions. That's why radio is so amazing. That's why talk shows are amazing. This podcast platform is amazing because everybody's got a fucking opinion, and we're all entitled to it, right? We can say whatever the fuck
everybody should
we
be
want.
able to allowed to say whatever they want to say. Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
Hey guys, I just want to get Phil. Do you have anything to add to this discussion? I know we can't see you, so I don't want to feel like you're left out.
No, I got a big mouth. I have no problem speaking of it.
I have a question for both Phil and Chris. Now, as this election year starts going on, and Joe Biden comes to All That Remains or comes to Trapt and says, "Can I use one of your songs for an election song?" What do you say?
Joe Biden?
Yeah.
Well, actually, it doesn't really fucking matter to me. Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
Really? So you'd let Joe Biden use your song if he asked permission?
Yeah, I don't care.
Don't they not even have to ask permission? They can do whatever. They can use whatever songs they want.
Well,
any.
Well,
they
I believe the artist.
If that happened, I wouldn't
send a cease and desist, though. I believe.
Yeah, there's no way in hell I'm gonna do something that Karen. Fuck that.
Yeah, right. Get up, talk to that manager. Stop playing.
Are you
music.
serious? Can you imagine? That's so damn pretentious. You put songs out, you put music out, and then you get mad because someone wants to listen to it? Shut your fucking mouth.
Yeah, but it's what it's used for, Phil. If say the Nazi Party wanted to use an All That Remains song,
Nazi Party?
Would you say, okay, guys, go ahead. I want my band out there at your rally.
Is there an actual Nazi party that's going to be putting up advertisements?
A
hypothetical is fine. Well, no, hold on, Mike. You're talking about actual Nazis versus Joe, I'm falling asleep, Biden.
No,
context does matter. No, context does matter.
Feeling strongly about how your music is represented. Doesn't that matter?
Context matters. Context matters. So yes, if you're talking about the I want to kill all the Jews Nazis, I would have a problem. If you're talking about I can't stay awake past supper time, I'm going to be fine with it.
What I'm talking about is I don't believe in what Joe Biden believes, and I think he's bad for this country, and I don't want him using my music to promote his campaign. Isn't that fair to feel that way?
Yeah, it's fair. It's perfectly fair for someone else to feel that way. But and I'm not saying that someone should be forced to allow a politician to use their music. I think that it's very silly and frivolous and self-indulgent to say this guy has political opinions that are a shade different than my political opinions, because we're talking about centrist politicians here. You're talking about Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. Their politics aren't very different. If you're talking about, okay, Mao is back and he wants to use a song while he's going and rounding up all the intelligentsia and putting up against the wall, then I'll have a problem. But when you're talking about the shaded difference between Joe Biden and Donald Trump or any other mainstream American politician, to say that it's unconscionable and it's beyond the pale for this politician to use my music. I really, really have a problem with making what is very vanilla and boring, which is the politics of Joe Biden and the politics of Donald Trump, as something that's really somehow dramatic. If you're talking about really dramatic, you're talking about, real communism or real fascism, and we're so far away from both of those things in the United States that to talk about it and drum it up like, hey, I can't have this guy using my music.
College students need to know that.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
How far away we are from that.
But
Yeah.
I still think that we are far away from it. I think that making it such a big deal because someone's using your music at some rally and it's not something that's going to be associated with them as their theme song. That's just.
I have to disagree there, Phil, because
too energetic for me. I am tired. If
you look at Fleetwood, if you look at the, Don't Stop Thinking About Tomorrow, that was synonymous with the Clinton campaign, and I'm just saying, I think an artist, it's not wrong for an artist to say, and, I'm not someone who records music like you and Chris, I'm not someone who's as creative, who spends a lot of time working hard on songs and your craft, but I feel that someone who does that has the right to say, I don't want them using that because I worked really hard on it and this is my baby.
Look,
I'd rather not have them use that to promote what I don't really believe in.
Mike, I hit that with a caveat early. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm not saying that someone else shouldn't. I'm not saying that it's a problem for someone else. I just don't care that much. I'm not the guy that's going to be like, because again, from my perspective, these politicians are very similar. They're all big government, big policy, big spending, government big guys. They want to be in your pocket. They want to be in your phone. They want to be in your house. They all want to, like, they're all the same. The slight difference between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, to me, they're very, 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 very much the same. What
about like trade? But see, here's the thing about what I was saying: how the left is so globalist, and the right is more about smaller government, but they're still pretty damn big government oriented. It's like, why is it that the media is so far left? Why is artists?
The media is not far left. The media is not far left. The media is.
Why is the media? Why do they celebrate the farther left you go, the more they love you?
Well,
because it gets ratings.
I can't speak for
down that rabbit hole.
Let's talk about
sexy.
that. Why? Why does it get?
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
Because it's nicer.
I thought about the same thing in radio. Why does this one thing work and this other thing doesn't? That I think is pretty good, but it seems to be working for them. So
it's a nicer narrative.
And I'm not saying it's right because I agree with you guys, but if something's working and you're making money from it, why would you want to stop doing that? Why would you want to amplify it?
CNN's ratings are way down. MSNBC's ratings are way down because they went and they tried to push this Russia hoax crap like Maddow. Her viewers are halved since the 2018 thing came out, and like it was all bunk, the Russia stuff, and nothing happened with the Mueller investigation, all that. She put all her eggs in that basket and then lost half her damn listeners. It's like, I don't know if this is about money. I think that the people who own MSNBC wanted to push a narrative because they want Trump out of office as fast as they can because Trump's getting away of their globalist trade policies that want to make everyone in the same trade thing and have no benefit for America versus poorer countries where all the jobs are going to go to because they pay their people less. It's just common sense stuff that multinational corporations don't give a fuck about regular people, and they don't at all. And we got a government that totally does their bidding. The more lobbyists you have, the more they're going to do your bidding.
Look,
That's
Chris,
a government we have.
Chris, you've hit like literally in that just that bit of conversation there. You've hit like 35 different subjects. So if we're going to talk about something, you got to narrow it down a little bit. First of all.
Listen, the question was why. The question was why the media is that way. They've already stuffed their head into the fucking rabbit hole, and they're way down the hole. If you're telling me ratings are down and you say money's not it, then it's the agenda in somebody's fucking head that they can't change because they're
That's
hell-bent.
what you just said. Is what it is.
We can talk about radio all day. Mike and I have been doing it for decades. Josh has been involved. Some of the decisions that got made in radio made no fucking sense. Somebody somewhere was drunk holding the wheel. And we're like, why wouldn't you do that? Mike sat in studios, and I sat in studios doing full-time shows, talking to the people, playing your fucking bands, but yet wait, we can't play All That Remains or Trapt because of some fucking bullshit political. What the fuck? It never made sense.
We have to play Welcome to the Jungle again
100 fucking times. No disrespect to GNR, but it's the same, right?
AAF never played All That Remains ever.
That's not true, Phil.
Okay, Mike Shue would play us on the hard.
We had All That Remains in regular rotation, albeit not long. But I pushed it into regular rotation for at least a couple of months from the War You Cannot Win album. What was the single?
Stand Up.
Yeah, we were playing that in regular rotation for a little while, man. So
that was our first number one. It took a number one to get added to our hometown radio station.
You didn't play What If I Was Nothing a ton?
Yeah, we played that a lot, didn't we?
Yeah, that's true. We did play that too.
The point I'm making is these people that run these big corporation fucking mindsets that run shit, whether it's Fox News or CNN, or let's use CNN as an example because you say the ratings are tanking. Same thing in radio. We would sit in these studios and go, why do you keep making fucking stupid mistakes with who you make the next morning show or who the next afternoon person is or whatever the fuck? And you sit there and go, is it because you're so fucking stubborn? Because you're so fucking stubborn and you can't get your fat head out of the way to say, no, let's do the right thing. It might be something that CNN says, fuck it, dude. We got to die on this hill until that guy's
can't admit they're wrong. You know, I mean, that's
nobody can. Neither side. That's the fucking problem.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to catch up to the internet and streaming and podcasting, but they don't want to change their ways.
Oh my fucking God. I mean, dude, I was off the radio for, I don't even know, 10 years before I came back and did some on-air
Your
stuff.
mouth is filled with popcorn right
now. Seriously, Isaiah.
Because I fucking eat popcorn.
Really? Trying to have a discussion here. And you're like my fucking drunk uncle.
Really?
Buffalo. Go get me some scratch tickets.
But there's so many people who are like hitting me up, you know, at shows when I did this stuff last year in September when I went after Ilhan Omar and her, you know, some people did something comment and just like, you know, we got a big old viral post I did and people got, you know, their feathers ruffled about that too. But it's like, it's just so weird that you can, like, that so many people are afraid to say what they really feel about Trump, and if they like him, they're afraid to say it. And I hate that environment. Like, I hate that people have to be afraid at a dinner party to bring up something about Trump, or they're going to get excommunicated from their community, which is like, that's what all these people are so afraid to say the wrong thing, and then their friends don't like them. It's like, stand on your own 2 feet for once, man.
But that's what I don't get. Like, why taking that approach? Like,
that works both ways too.
It doesn't have, but it doesn't. I tell you what, it doesn't even have to be that you're. To your point, Chris, you don't even have to be a Trump supporter to be on the receiving end of you have the wrong opinions, because I'm not a Trump guy. Like, I make that pretty clear that I think he's pretty authoritarian, that that I'm not a dude that's like pro-Trump, but I'm also very, very, very anti-left, even the left, the left in the US, which isn't very left, but the left in the US, I'm pretty against most of that agenda as well. And I have lost friends, like actual friends, who no longer will talk to me. That's a real thing that does happen, and it doesn't happen just for Trump supporters, though I'm sure Trump supporters get it worse. It happens for people who just have an outside view, and you're going to take heed of that.
There's an echo chamber, and if you say anything different, you're out.
But it's not even like if you say something opposite. I put something on social media where at the beginning of this whole pandemic, every time Trump had a press conference, people would just be bashing him on social media. And I just got sick of that being the only thing I saw on my feed. So I just wrote, hey, we get it. You don't like Trump. Definitely tweet or post more about it. And I had people DM me being like, you Trump supporter, you're racist. I have to block you now. And I'm like, just because I didn't say something bad about him, all I said was, I get it. You don't like Trump. And then that was enough to block me.
That works both ways, you guys.
Of course,
it works.
Absolutely.
It works the opposite way too.
It does.
Mike, I will argue with Mark Morton from Lamb of God, guitar player from Lamb of God. We'll argue on Twitter back and forth, and we're very friendly about it. But we'll debate, and we have some very, very different ideas. And I see when he says things that are definitively anti-Trump, people will holler at him and come for him and blah, blah. That's a normal thing. And I think that it's because it's Twitter. Listen, this is an idea that came to me, and I feel like it's obvious. I don't feel like I'm smart, but I feel like everyone should recognize this. Everyone knows you don't read the comments, right? You don't go to the comment section and read the comments. What is Twitter? Twitter is the fucking comment section for fucking life.
Yeah.
That's the whole goddamn point of the website.
Fuck Twitter.
So it's like there is a certain amount of our own fault for engaging in this shit. I've been spending a lot of goddamn time in the woods in my yard, and I tell you what, I don't miss fighting with people on the internet. Now, it's great to forward your own opinion. God knows I do, right? I have no problem sharing my opinion about things. But I mean, the argument itself shouldn't define you. I think is something that I think that maybe is probably that's why I wanted to be a part of this call. I think Chris, from an outsider's perspective, I think that I've seen. It feels like you're letting the argument define you on the internet, and if the argument is defining you, no one's going to really hear what you're saying. They're just going to see that you're the guy that's getting the shit, and they're going to decide if they want to either engage in shitting
I want
on you or not.
I want people to read about it, look at my tweets, and do all that stuff with what's out there, and just make up their own minds as to why I'm getting shit. You know, why do you think? You know, it's like,
because
what is the main reason?
Personally, because of the way that you're engaging. That's why you're getting shit. You can engage and have these ideas and engage with other people in a way that is not aggressive, that is not antagonistic, and you may feel like you're defending yourself, but as an outsider looking at it, it does seem like you're antagonistic. And so, you can think what you want. I'm telling you what I see, and there is a way to engage with people that disagree.
Well, my whole strategy is to go hard at people in response, so that I can just destroy this politically correct crap. It's like, you know what? I wish we could go back to the Eddie Murphy days when you just think of an insult and say it, and whatever, no one cared, and everyone laughed about it and shit. So I want to go back to that time somehow. Like Trump really came out there and just blew a hole in the politically correct crap, blew it apart. And so I want that to go more and more. And it's like, if people, let your emotion take over sometimes, man. It's like, you don't always be super ego logic all the time. Like, if you want to go after someone because they said something that riled you, then say it, man. It's like, it's when people start saying, "Oh, I'll beat you up" and this and that. It's like, I never came at anyone and said, "I want to just fight you."
Well, I mean, well, I'd like to introduce you to a thing we call the internet. That's what happens there. So,
and I'm fine with it.
And you're a grown man. You should know that. That's going to happen.
Yeah. Like, I'm just responding to people in the same way they coming at me, and it's like, why is that bad? Why am I the bad guy?
It's not, but it's going to get exhausting after a while, and the fucking internet sucks. Twitter's bullshit.
If you're getting in, the point is, if you want to get into it, and I think I feel like I said this earlier. If you're looking to get into it, I feel like that is the point of
that's
your
what
persona.
I'm doing. I have no issue.
Okay.
I have no problem coming after people who are coming after me. It's like, responding to people coming after me. I don't mind that. I'm not hurt. I'm not looking down or anything. I'm having fun with it, trying to come up with the most snarky, sarcastic comebacks I can come up with.
Josh actually didn't say you were melting down, for the record. Josh never said you were melting down.
I didn't. I will confirm this.
Whatever you want to talk about. Whatever you want to say.
I will confirm this. I believe Isaiah said in the last podcast with Phil that he wanted to fight you.
Let's go.
So I want to know when that's going to happen.
Celebrity.
For charity.
Celebrity charity fight. Well, listen, actually,
one is a celebrity. Yeah, sure. The other one,
fuck you.
I'm not sure.
I have an orange mask. I'm following the fucking
anybody
rules.
Engaging in a boxing match or whatever is going to look bad. So I don't think anybody really wants to do it.
The reason we wanted to have you on this and Phil on this, and Josh and Mike and I have been friends for years. It's just Twitter is the fucking dead center of hell. And
shit post all day long.
All fucking day. I swear to God, Mike, you were talking about history before. You were talking about the history of all presidents and how this, that, and the other thing. Imagine if we could go back and look at history. I'm not saying take the internet away, but lose fucking social media for a minute. That is a cesspool of fucking hate. And it just, gets fueled.
Especially Twitter, though.
Oh,
Oh,
Twitter.
and it's an experiment on Twitter. Like, I'm trying to pull out the worst in people,
Right.
just to show that how hypocritical they are. I'm like, I'm out here shit posting like the left does all the time, and Trump supporters, they don't really do what I'm doing. They're really much more well behaved than I am, and maybe less emotional than I am. I'm probably as emotional as any crazy liberal, and so I'm just pulling it out and going, look, the Trump supporters are the ones that are actually civil. Not the liberals.
I don't know
and
about
me.
that. I don't know.
I don't know about that, Chris.
Come on.
I've taken a lot of shit
Look at what
from people
look at what I'm
from Trump
digging
people.
up on Twitter, man.
They're all.
No.
Can we all agree that the left and the right are just fucked? Can we all agree that the left and the right are just fucked, and we got
I
to live
don't
somewhere
think
in the
they're
middle?
equal at all.
Well-
I think one side is way more emotional than the other side.
No, I don't agree with that at all, Chris. I believe
man.
no, I
I'll
don't. I
do
don't agree,
studies,
Chris, because
After 10 years of Twitter,
right-wing and
re-examine.
conservative people can get just as emotional as extreme left people, but
I just don't.
it's
I don't-
all the
I don't
people
agree
in
with
the
that.
middle that don't have the time to be emotional or vocal
Hey,
because they're just trying to put
Who gets
food
shut
on the
down at
table.
college campuses, man? Who gets shut down? The right gets shut down, not the left. The right. College campuses destroy anyone who thinks with right-leaning think
That's it.
or thought.
That's not.
And the
that's
media
not
does the
about-
same
it's-
damn thing.
It's not as much about. That's not as much about emotion as it is about tactics. It's not. I mean,
Oh, man.
anyone.
People are
anyone
losing
can
their
behave
minds.
like- no. I mean, they look like they're losing their minds, and they probably are kind of losing their minds. But it's not about emotion. It's about tactic. If that shit didn't work, they would do something else. That is not them losing. It's not an
Why isn't
emotional
the right
reaction.
doing that to the left? Why
Because
why isn't the right shutting down the left?
Because the right has avoided those tactics, and it's.
I think it's because they're less emotional.
It's not. They're not less emotional. They're not less emotional. It's not about. It's not a question of emotion. How emotional someone is, the values that they place value in. They're different from person to person. But I don't. I really don't.
Whose fucking egg timer's going off?
That was my phone. I'm unprofessional.
Eggs
I
are
know.
ready.
Come on, Phil.
You know,
You're making a point.
I'm the kind of guy that would have the cough button right in front of me and still not hit the cough button and cough over the air. I'm that guy.
No,
So.
Phil, you guys are both making really good. I'm thinking as we talk about, Chris, you mentioned with CNN, dipping and the way they're going, the tactic part. The right doesn't need to react because in most people's minds, it looks like they might be winning. And maybe the left has to react and do different tactics because maybe the nose of their plane is fucking heading down, right?
It is.
Maybe.
They're
I don't know.
scared to
I'm saying right
death
or wrong.
of November, man. They're going to lose so bad.
Well, but the point is how you react to that. Just like we talked about radio, how you react to decisions that are made. If you act like a bitch and just go the fuck along with it, it's not going to get any better. Instead of stopping and saying, hold on a minute. We got to try a different tactic because we look like we're going out of our fucking minds, whether that's left or right. Maybe that's why the right doesn't look so.
But I feel like the two extremes are going out of their mind. But I feel like the tactic is for the left is that they're more puritanical and they're more mean-spirited and like vengeful right now, and the right is more just like we're pro us.
Well, maybe
You
I
guys,
don't think
you guys have really short memories because every administration in the past,
I'm saying
it's
right
the same
now.
thing.
I'm saying
right now, and it's the same thing as when Obama was in. It's the same thing when George W. Bush was in, and it's the same thing when his dad was in, and when
The
Clinton
left
was
has
in.
never lost their minds like they have under Trump. It's
Well, maybe
like
they feel like they're losing.
Trump
Maybe they,
deranged
No.
We're gonna focus on straws?
No. Part of the reason why we
I've seen
actually
that.
have Trump in the first place is because milquetoast ass vanilla dudes like Mitt Romney were called Nazis. The left was freaking out about Mitt Romney. They were freaking out about George Bush. They were freaking out about John McCain. And these same people, George Bush, John McCain, Mitt Romney, the left of today are talking about them like they were very fine gentlemen and blah, blah, blah. But when they were actually trying to get into a position of power, they were called Nazis. They were called blah, blah, blah. And so what happened was the right looked at the situation and said, no matter what we do, they're going to call us Nazis and they're going to call us bad names. That's why people forgave Trump. That's why people look at Trump and they say, hey, he's a scumbag and he's got all these character flaws, but we know they're going to call him these things anyway, so maybe it won't stick. And it just so happens that it doesn't stick. People stopped caring in the context of Trump because that came baked in the cake when they voted for Trump.
So here's my theory on the left. Hear me out, right? So I'm really into psychology and Carl Jung and Freud and all that stuff. So this is my whole thing, and I'm sure a lot of people would hate hearing this, but this is my deal. So the left, they're more into globalization and acceptance of all types of people, even like people who like to engage in bestiality. I'm sure that will be one of the groups that they try to make an oppressed group at some point. So their need to fit in and be accepted is a different need to be accepted as the right. So the right, like usually a lot of institutional, like religious things, and it's like they grow up with this whole, community thing that's kind of, a lot of it's religious too. But the left, it's like you got these kids who never felt truly appreciated or had enough attention from their parents, and so but their parents may have not given enough, or maybe they gave just the right amount, and the kids just are way too sensitive. So what they end up doing is they move from out of their area that they're misunderstood, and they move to New York City, or they move to Chicago, or they move to Los Angeles, and they're in desperate need to be part of something because they don't feel like their parents made them a part of something. So you get these people, and they learn a lot in college because they're doing whatever they can to virtue signal for friends, much more than the right does, in my opinion. And so my thing is, I have these theories in my head, and I want to go and see if they're right using Twitter. And you just see the emotional part of a human being when they just like get triggered, and you can see it happen, And it's just like, to me, the left has just so much more of a need to find a tribe to fit in because they don't feel like they fit in as a kid. So you just get, the people, once they find their tribe, they're going to go to war for that tribe. And that tribe looks so damn different because there are all these different types of groups who, if they actually got into power, they'd be fighting amongst themselves. They'd be eating their own. But they're just everything they can do to counter Trump and counter this, self-responsibility.
That's kind of this is kind of the second time you've kind of gone off on 17,000 different subjects without really being kind of.
I'm just saying the left is more emotional. That's it. And the reason is because they're so in need to be accepted, they're desperate to fit in.
Yeah,
much more than the right.
But that can that can be applied to the
Both
right
sides.
side also.
I'm not
The right
buying
already
it.
feels like they're part of something with religion and all that stuff. They grew up with that, and they're going to stick with that.
These things are not sided. They're not. You can have emotional people that are conservative. You can have emotional people that are progressive or what you might call liberal. But I mean, it is not a case where the left is more emotional than the right. The right is just as capable of being emotional, and
The right doesn't do pussy hats and crap like that.
doesn't do
The thing
what?
is, how about
Pussy
if we're
hats.
we're all in
Well,
this.
then you can say,
No,
well, the
but
right
that's-
has
no,
the
but
right has Confederate flags.
Hold on a second. No, the pussy hats things. The pussy hat. If you wear a red "Make America Great" hat, that's the exact same thing. It's tribal signaling. It's the exact same thing. It is
How can it
tribal
be the
signaling.
same? How can it be wrong to say put your country first? Put
Nobody,
your
no
citizens
one.
first.
Wait a minute.
Don't you think the pussy hats mean that same
When did I
thing?
say? When did I say anything about being wrong? All I said is they're the same. One like that, like wearing a pussy hat equals wearing a "Make America Great Again" hat because you're tribal signaling. You're saying I'm this group. I'm this group. It's like raising your flag. And everybody that has the pink pussy flags, they all hang out over
So
here.
you think both
Everyone that
sides
has-
do it equally, and that's just equal on both sides?
I'm not 100% sure if it's going to be a direct 50-50 thing, but
I think it's 60-40. The liberals more emotional.
I disagree with that.
No,
I disagree with that.
because it's a different type of person that gets politically active. There are people that are extremely conservative and also extremely unpolitically active. They don't pay attention to politics any further than they kind of go to the polls every time they have to vote, and they know they're going to vote Republican or they know they're going to vote Democrat, so they vote down ballot Republican, down ballot Democrat.
Why are cities so liberal?
Well, because people that don't want to live on top of each other frequently leave cities. So I don't know exactly why.
Well, why in LA, if you're a conservative, you have to feel afraid to say what you want to say, or you're going to lose a producer gig, or you're going to lose an engineering gig, or whatever. So you can't say anything about your,
It's not saying that you're more emotional. It's not saying they're more emotional, or it doesn't prove that
they jump down your throat so much more than if it's the other side, the other way around.
Now they do, but
Probably because who's in office. But if it switches, it'll be the other way around.
When pop culture was more towards conservatives, and conservatives were more in a position of power, you would have Christian conservatives jumping down your throat for taking the Lord's name in vain.
When did we have a time where it felt like that? When did we have a time where the right was like in charge?
Probably
it was the 80s.
Yeah, I think
the 80s was definitely a time like that.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I mean, the reason that everyone felt like the parents in Footloose were the bad guys was because that was the representation of power. So nowadays, people find PC Principal funny because that's the representation of power. And the roles are completely reversed. It's conservatives that in the 80s that were portrayed as the bad guys and the stuffy bad guys, and the kids were the ones that wanted to just dance and be, you would imagine that they're the ones that you want to party, whatever. And then here in modern times, PC Principal in South Park, he's portrayed as the authority, and you kind of look at him, he's kind of the bad guy. I mean, it's authority and stuff like that, but it's not. It doesn't have anything to do with liberal people being more emotional. I don't.
Well, so that if the more left you are, the more centrally planned you want to plan everything. So the more like a big, huge government is going to make decisions for everybody. So the more left you are, the more you're good with that. The more right you are,
what do you define as left, Chris? What do you define as left? How do you classify?
I'm telling you right now. So the left, the more left is the more communism. The more right is the more anarchy. And
how do you define communism? Okay, all right. So you define. So you're looking on authority and liberty, on an axis of authority.
So
versus
when you're right, you want less authority over your life. That's it.
Okay. All right.
That's but you can't have anarchy, because then you can't even have a free market because everyone's killing each other. So there has to be some level of government control, or everybody's a free for all, and then it's the 1800s, Wild Wild West, So that doesn't work. But it also doesn't work when you have a government people making decisions for businesses when they have nothing to do with that business or don't know what business at all. At least capitalism is like, look, you love what you do, go make money at it because you're probably the best person to do it. And then the government can tax you and redistribute.
I see capitalism as a little bit different than that. But I mean, I just wanted to get a clear idea of what you mean when you say left.
It's just level of government control, left to right. That's it. So
I think we have talked politics on this podcast the most ever on this one. I think we're good for about a year. I think we're good for about a year. Fuck.
Now, to what Phil was saying about how people are tribal and wearing a different hat can symbolize what tribe you're going with. Do you think it's because we don't have any sports right now? We're all picking a team.
Oh my god!
No, I think they're all symptoms.
Concerts.
Man.
We can't go to fucking sporting events, so we're just gonna fight over fucking politics.
Yeah, Chris. Let me ask you this: as an artist, a working musical artist, and we asked Phil this. What do you foresee in the near future, as far as concerts go, as far as live entertainment goes, in a large venue tour kind of thing? We're talking about thousands of people getting together.
My position on this COVID thing was, unless your hospitals are at risk of being overrun, like in Italy, where literally people had to choose between, this guy's probably going to make it, let's focus on him, this person's probably going to die, so sorry, you're going to have to wait in the hallway until you die, which did not happen in the United States, did not even happen in New York City. But if there's a danger of that occurring, before it occurs, obviously, you shut down the city, you shut down the county. But you don't shut down the whole damn state, The way we've been about this was just stupid, and in 6 months, we're going to look back, and I hope we all go, it was a mistake, should not have done it. The max amount of people that would have died is 1 million, which is horrible, of course. But at the same time, it's, the economic, we have 50 million people who have lost their jobs. 50 million since mid-March. There's about almost 30 million unemployment claims, but a lot of people I'm talking to can't even access the damn sites. So 50 million unemployed, and their lives are going to suck. And it's going to take a long time to even get half of those back. So that's a lot of misery for a million people who, for the most part, would have been old and would have had immunocompromised situations. So I just think logically it was so stupid, but we're not fully logical beings. We're emotional, and we want to do what we can to keep people from dying. So we did the 6 weeks, shut down. It's going to screw us in the long run, but at least we can feel like, well, we're not completely cold and don't give a shit. So, but at this point, it's like, it's got to be opened up and go for it. And if there's a problem, if you've got a bunch of cases that are rising, then yeah, you shut them down. But you have to say, this is when we shut down, it's because these levels were hit, and these hospitalizations are in danger of exceeding the amount of beds we have. That's when you shut down. You don't shut down before that. It's just the dumbest thing we ever did in our lives.
That's your opinion. But in your opinion, how, like Mike asked, how do we get back to shows as an artist? How do you feel we need to get back to where Trapt
Go
is
for
on
it.
stage?
Unless you have your hospital's danger of overrunning, let everything go. Open it all up. Because it's going to take forever for people to even be confident to go out, even if it is open and everything's allowed to be done. They're still going to be apprehensive about going to the big shows and all that stuff. There's going to be a large percentage of the population who are still scared.
So just open the doors.
Open this damn thing up and go, you want to do a show, do the show. But, if you don't have issues, then do the 1,000-person shows. Do the 2,000-person shows. If you have zero issues, do the 20,000-person shows. But as soon as you see that enough hospitalizations are rising where it may overwhelm your local healthcare system, then you shut it down. But not until then. So it should be guidelines that are very, very clear as to when you shut down. Not just, I'm scared, shut down.
How has Trapt stayed? You guys obviously have a new single coming out in May. How have you guys stayed creative during this quarantine?
How have I gotten creative?
No. How have you and the guys in the band during this? You obviously have new music coming out. How have you stayed connected with your bandmates and stayed creative during this?
Well, we wrote our last song, which is our first single actually in February. So the record was, done and all that stuff. So all I needed to do is get like artwork going and all that. And then now everything's set for that. So, but as far as getting together, there's no real way to do that. And so writing songs, I mean, I usually we'll come up with something cool or whatever, and then I'll send it to the guys and what do you think of this? Or, sometimes we'll get together and write in a whole room. But we did this Facebook Live thing April 2nd, which was awesome. Myself and my guitar player, he's a drummer as well, so he's played cajon during that. But other than that, we haven't really done any creative things, so it sucks. It's like, I hate this. I want to open the damn economy up. I'm pretty sure, I'm clear on where I stand on it. And I'm hoping that cooler heads prevail and people understand economic misery can kill just as many people as a virus can.
I would like to point out that before everything shut down, AF did it before it was cool.
That's right. We shut down that radio station before everybody was doing it. We tried to flatten the curve before everybody else.
Perfect.
Exactly.
Remember
We
this?
didn't even know what we were doing.
Fucking gone.
That's an antique now.
Hey, Chris, thank you so much, man, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Appreciate the healthy discussion here, because that's what this country's all about. Two sides and the right to argue both sides and give opinions. And
I apologize for the tweet.
And one of the the positive things we can take out of this is that there are some things that we all agreed on,
right?
Which is great, which is a strength of this country. But also another strength is being able to argue about our points of view. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks
for
coming.
Phil Labonte, AF being off. Right. Can we have free tickets to your shows? Because our radio jobs are gone.
Anytime,
I'm going to miss that, man. I'm going to miss that. All right. Thanks a lot, Chris. Phil Labonte from All That Remains. Thank you very much.
Later, Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
See you guys later.
Thank you.
Good one.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
Also, I want to let our sponsors know that we want to thank them and appreciate them. Garage Doors Plus,
absolutely.
Invoke Media, Boston Exterior Remodeling, and Pathfinder Tree Service LLC, and our friend Lucas Carr. I got the Garage Doors Plus shirt on here. Thanks to our sponsors for helping us out to have podcasts like this. And please subscribe, and please rate, and please follow Breaking the Ice on Twitter and Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And
Instagram
YouTube also.
Chris, can you believe that people pay for this bullshit?
I think it's
All
great.
right.
I think it's great, man. It's hopefully entertainment that's eye-opening.
Thanks for joining
Right
us,
on.
brother. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks,
man.
Take care.
Thanks a lot, you
That was
guys.
There'll be more popcorn on Twitter. You'll see it.